The Global Latin Factor Podcast.
Welcome to another episode, otro capítulo de the Global Latin Factor Podcast. My name is Crispin Valentin, and thank you for joining, where we talk about Latino everything. That's right, everything that is related to Latino culture, food, music, etc., etc., etc. Today's capítulo, before we get to it, we're gonna go ahead and so on this capítulo we have some tragedy. The queen of something, and this particular Latino actually guessed his death. We're going to tell you all about that in this capítulo today of the Global Latin Factor Podcast. Okay, so today we are talking about Selena Quintanilla-Pérez, or Selena Quintanilla, a.k.a. Mexican Madonna, or the Queenoftejano, also La Reina del Tex-Mex. Real quickly, we're going to go ahead and touch up on some of the important facts about her before we get into getting a little bit in depth of the things that I looked up and found out about Miss Selena Quintanilla-Pérez. Born April 16 in 1971 in Lake Jackson, Texas, and died in March 31st in 1995 in Corpus Christi. And can you believe she was only 23 years old? That's right, 23 years old. She was married at the time she passed away to Chris Perez. Her parents is Abraham Jr. and Marcela Quintanilla, and her siblings A.B. Quintanilla and Suzette Quintanilla. And real quickly, if you never heard about her, if for whatever reason, there's a Netflix series I haven't checked out. I've seen the movie before, and I can talk to you about that in just a few minutes of what I looked up that is real close to what the movie's like, and different things like that. So she was a Mexican-American singer, songwriter, spokesperson, businesswoman, model, actress, and fashion designer. Referred to, again, as I mentioned, the queen of Tejano music, and she made great contributions. She was named by Billboard as the top Latina in the 1990s decade. And after her death, when they made the collaboration with MAC Cosmetics, it became one of the best-selling celebrity collection cosmetics in history. I'm sure you remember the time when they released the cosmetics. Everybody and their mama, you couldn't escape social media feed. All your feed pretty much is makeup and everything like that. And yep, that's the reason why she was the number one selling at that time. And of course, now with everything that's been coming out, the series. So anytime there's something about her that comes out, her anniversary, or for her death, her birthday, and different things like that, her day, because there's actually a Selena Day. I'll tell you all about that in a few minutes. So she began her career or singing when she was only 8 years old, and that's an idea that his dad, he was already an artist before, he attempted to be a singer. It didn't really work out, and and pretty much, if you've seen the movie before, it's almost the same thing as what I found out. He was playing the guitar. Selena approached him, and then she started singing along with him, and then he realized, like, hey, she got something. It's kind of special. So, and he got the idea, well, this is how I can get back in the music industry, and then so on. It just began. Everything pretty much on the movie, as far as the restaurant, Papa Gallos, or Yoyos, what he used to say on the sign, because if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. The sign was a little questionable. It didn't look like Gallos. It looked like Yayo, which I see where he was coming from. And they had to close the restaurant down, file for bankruptcy, and they lost their home, and they have to move somewhere else because, unfortunately, it just there was something going on with the economy at that time, and they weren't able to make it. The restaurant wasn't able to make it, so they continue. And so they went through some hard times. Selena's family, as you've seen in the movie, they don't really depict it so much. They don't really go into detail what happened. You kind of sort of get an idea, but it kind of leave you wondering if that's what happened. So if you didn't know, they had to file for bankruptcy, and they had to actually lose their home, and they had to move elsewhere. So real quickly, some of her achievements, and this is just a few. Grammy, and this is just recently that happened. So Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in 2021. A Grammy for Best Mexican American Album in 1994. Billboard Latin Music Award of Top Latin Album Artist of the Year by a Female in 2016 and 2017. So this is some of the ones that she, some of the awards. And contrary to popular belief, there's a lot, well, there's not a lot, but there's a few people that I've seen on a few videos that are like, how can she be a role model? You know, she dropped out of school. She didn't go to school. Well, she actually did get her GED or diploma. Well, there's parts that say that she got her GED or diploma. So she got something. Not only that, but she enrolled in a Pacific Western University for a business administrative major. So not only did she get her diploma or GED, she actually even went further and enrolled in some business classes, which eventually helped her with her boutique, Selena, etc. If you don't recall, she also had a boutique. Now, you done, Carlos? Are you done? I can hear you.
It's a noisy chair.
All right, well, get another chair. My man Carlos over here distracting. All right, so pretty much everything as far as the movie that you've seen, and it's pretty much matching everything that we looked up. So it was real close, even to the scene with I seen the Chris Perez, the scene where she left. You know, he was in the hotel. He went to her and said, I can't do this no more. You know, let's get married. Let's get away. Whatever that he said, it was actually pretty close to what really happened. And a real quick story about me. So I wanted to get the birthday correct because, so you know how Beyonce has the Beehive? So you know how loyal they are to her? Well, Selena fans go back generations. I'm talking about almost 3 generations or longer of fans that have been, you know, either play Selena, know about Selena, watch the movie, now the series, and things like that. So if you don't get some of the facts right, you'll most likely get some feedback. So I'm trying to be as accurate as possible. But this is a podcast, so I'm rendering my opinion on some of them. But I just want to make sure that I get the date of birth right, because I got my behind chewed before for not knowing her birthday. And it wasn't that I didn't know. I said that I couldn't recall at the time. And then I looked it up shortly after, and then because at that time I was doing another radio station, and then I did say the right name. The right date. I came back right shortly before the break, and I did say her. And then we had a very passionate listener that called and chewed my behind, talking about why I'm on the radio if I don't know my facts and things like that. So if that lady ever runs into my podcast, I don't remember her name. She demanded to talk to my supervisor, but unfortunately, the lady didn't realize that we were at a volunteer community radio station, so there was no supervisor to talk to. And that's the laugh that I got after the fact whenever she got out the phone. Sorry, lady. Anyways, so shout out to all my Selena fans. Okay, so I know for a fact that she's worldwide, even to this day, because I know somebody from the Philippines that's actually a Selena fan. I seen something on Instagram that she posted. I'm like, what? And then I sent her a DM like, you know Selena? And I'm like, oh yeah, she's the best and this and then. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And so if you look at Selena compared to all the other novelas that were playing during that time, she is darker skin. She has big lips, big hips. You know, she's not your typical. They almost look like a Caucasian. Even though they were novelas, like light skin, European, thinner ladies. That's pretty much what they're playing you. And a lot of the girls, the Mexicanas and the Latinas, they really can't relate because they didn't have that. That wasn't them. You know, they couldn't really look into like the TV and be like, oh yeah, I can relate to because she looked like me. No, they didn't have no expectations, nothing like that, because it was nothing like that for them. But when Selena came around, not to mention, I don't know her personally, right? But everybody that I seemed to that ran into her, had interaction with her, was the same thing. That she's always funny, always had a good attitude. There's only like a handful of people that can recall a time where they seen her, which of course everybody's human, right? That she might have had a bad, or not a bad attitude, but she wasn't in the best of moods. But for the most part, I seen her like her backstage footage and things like that, and she's just always cracking funny jokes and different things like that. And some were like really inappropriate jokes. Like one of them, she said, "Oh, we're coming out with our own perfume," and I think one of them she says it's gonna smell like menudo or something like that. I'm like, what? That's the kind of jokes that she would say. And another thing that I feel that's not very it's confusing about her is that, okay, just like Michael Jackson and things like that, like these kids are born into this, right? The family business. So they don't know anything more. And her religion too. I believe she was Jehovah's Witness. Again, Selena fans, if I'm not correct, please, I'd be more than happy to take in the feedback and correct myself. So pretty much it was doing the business, stage, execute, and right back. So again, it's underestimated to say that she was sheltered because she hadn't really experienced a lot of things. And to all my Tejano fans, do you know one of the people that is a Tejano, also female, that is I've seen plenty of interviews that she said it was her best friend, Shelly Lares. That's right. Shelly Lares was actually the person that introduced Selena to Chris, because Chris used to be with Shelly Lares before he went to Selena. So he was Shelly Lares first. Chris went into we can't talk about Selena without moving a little bit into Chris, and maybe we'll do something separate for Chris Perez. So Chris was a rocker, and then he went with Shelly Lares. They taught him how to play Tejano at that time, and then I guess, I don't know if they had a fallout or not, but he went into a couple of different bands before he landed with Selena. So the one part about him, like in the shower where they're cutting on this thing, that wasn't really accurate because he had already been playing Tejano for some time. So I don't feel like the movie got that right. And I don't know how this, again, I got to watch the series. I haven't looked at it. I felt like I've seen the movie already, right? So how much more can I get out of it? But I see people that are so intrigued with her that will want more. Because even Shelly Lares says, like, I post a couple things here and there, and I'd rather keep my relationship with her personal because that's our special moment that we share. We don't really talk about, Shelly Lares says, we didn't really talk about music. We mostly just talked about things like things like teenage girls, because they were at the same age. Actually, Shelly Lares is about 7 to 8 months older than Selena, so they were at the same age. And can you believe Shelly's now 50? So that means Selena was turning 50 as well. So that's wild to me. Or she was going to be turning 50. And she said they talked about regular, girl stuff that they talk. I don't know. I'm not a female, not a girl. I'm not a teenage girl. But whatever y'all talk about, that's what they talked about. And, she said, that she didn't want to share. But she realized anytime she posts something on social media, that all the fans want more. They just can't get enough of her. And, it's crazy to me that happened. So a couple more things that were accomplished by her. So National Public Radio ranked Amor Prohibido, which if you know about Selena, you know this thing is the number 19 in the list of 150 greatest albums made by women. And fun fact, before we move on to the next thing that I want to talk about, did you know that there was a stamp of Selena? Did you know that, Carlos? You didn't know that? Oh, look at Carlos go. Yes. In 2011, the United States Postal Service paid homage to Selena by issuing the Latin Legends stamp, which included Selena and, of course, a couple other Latinos, which were Tito Puentes, Carmen Miranda, Carlos Gardel and Celia Cruz, which most likely all these Latinos we're going to do an episode on. So if you are interested of any of these, or if you have a suggestion on any Latino, whether they're like super known or not, it doesn't matter. Just let me know and we'll take care of it, because we got a TikTok suggest episode that is going to be coming out soon. And we also have one that we did regarding the doctor that's doing research on diabetes. There was like no videos on YouTube about this lady, you know. So if we can do anything, at least minimum is not 100. We're not. I'm not a teacher or anything like that, right? But minimum, the content will be there for you to be aware of this Latino, and then later on it can take you to hopefully a rabbit hole and research some more about this. And I'm going to tell you what at this point is relevant in a few minutes of things that are going on online right now. Yes. So in 2017, more than 20 years later, she was honored with her star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So 20 years after her day, Selena has a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That's right. Okay, so here's the thing that I was going to talk to you about. So right now, at this moment, there's some kind of controversy going on online, because so Yolanda, the evil lady that killed her, Selena, is gonna be released in 2025. So this has been all over the internet for a minute, along with other things. So somebody posted this, and then I believe it was either Twitter or one of the social medias, like, what? Selena Gomez died? And then I'm like, what? I can't believe it. And you know, it was back and forth, like I can't believe you don't know who Selena Quintanilla is. I can't believe you don't know this and that, blah 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 blah. And okay, so here's my take on that, right? We're in this point of time that is that time where, as much as we want to keep Selena, or people that really love her, keep her alive, and it's been 3 generations, it's been a long time, right? But eventually we got to realize that time's going to keep passing, and certain generations are not going to keep, you know, pushing and have it be, you know, be forever. You know, of course your music's going to live forever. We continue to play music and things like that. But eventually it comes to a point where, you know, things are just, you know, just, there's a few people now compared to what it used to be that there are fans, you know, and the ones that are solid and continue to support and everything that she does, you know, that's cool. But eventually this is where the generation's at, right? So right now there's not to mention Selena Gomez was named after Selena Quintanilla. So, and she knows this. Selena Gomez knows this. She acknowledges all the time. She gone to Corpus. I believe she even went to her grave before and things like that, or the museum, one of them. So it's all a known fact. She knows this, that she was named after her. And not only that, but the spike of ladies that were named Selena after she passed away was huge. It spiked up. So if you were 95 and up, if you were born during that time, and if you were named Selena, whether you spell it with the regular name Selena with a C, I've seen it spelled different ways, most likely you were named in homage to Selena. I can almost put money on that. In fact, link me up with your parents. We'll make a bet. I guarantee you that you were. Okay, so yeah. So this is where we at in this generational gap. So a few other people know who they are. They get it confused with Selena Gomez because they don't know about the other one. They might be too young. So that's pretty much where we at. Again, some of almost 100% that some people don't know who Elvis Presley is. Some might not even know who is crazy, because you might play it at every party, but some of you younger might not know who Alejandro Fernandez is, or even Vicente, and things like that. And it's going to happen, you know? And that's the reason why I think that the Global Latin Factor is very important, to minimum have it online and talk a little bit about this Latinos that have made a contribution to the world. I forget which one it was that I was talking to my brother, And I told him, do you know this person? Like, who? And then I was tripping out that he didn't know, but I understood we're 10 years apart, right? 10, 11 years apart. So it's understandable the reason why he wouldn't know who I was talking about. I believe it was Alejandra Guzman, or no, it was somebody else. It was a female singer, and I can see why he wouldn't know. And I was surprised that he didn't know, but at the same time I understood why he wouldn't know. Not to mention, again, just to put this content out to minimum have a name out that you can look into, be like, oh wow, because if you tie Latino and factor of the things that we're done, because now everything's really interconnected with the internet, then minimum you'll have a reference to. And that's the other thing that made a lot of sense with Selena, right? Because a lot of the girls, as I mentioned before, you couldn't really relate. So if you don't, and it's just the way that our mind works, like if you don't see somebody like you do something like that, then it's really hard to get inspiration to become something like that, you know? And that's the reason why we do this as well, because we given Selena, you know, one of the ladies that was talking about it, this, even the lady that was doing the documentary, she said, and maybe it was my own prejudice, because I can't believe that this brown girl, that's what she said, her words, not mine, this brown girl, it was so successful, and when, as a girl, as a woman, and had all this success and all these people following her, which is true. And the inspiration that, like, Selena triggered by the way she looked, she was a very attractive girl. Let's not call it like it's not. Like, for us men, nice to look at, and being the color that she was, having thicker lips, wider hip, you know, the whole shebang. What everybody's trying to be nowadays, right? That she had that. And little girls coming up can relate for the same reason, that now we have somebody that looks like us that we can shoot to, minimum try to be or inspire. And there's so many young girls that were inspired and attempted to do, you know, their part. So yeah, that's wild to me. So yeah, I can see the disconnect. I can see why there is. So the Selena fans, keep holding it down, but just realize that this is gonna happen eventually. You know, it just happens with everything. You know, we don't realize how quickly things or generations happen, or how quickly we forget about certain things. I guarantee you, there's a mind full of artists and things like that we don't know, that how we haven't looked into, for the same reason that we don't know about them. We forgot about them. We never looked it up. We just, you know, our parents didn't continue passing on the music and things like that, and that was that. You know, I still remember Los Temerarios, Los Bookies are making a big deal. They're selling out stadiums. You know how long they've been around? They've been around forever. Like, I think it's about 50 years or so that they've been around. And just recently, they started selling out stadiums here in the U.S. But I've been knowing them forever in a day, you know? So they went a period of time where really nobody really played them like that. And then all of a sudden, they're back relevant again. Los Angeles Azules for a long time. Bro, Los Angeles Azules did a collab with an orchestra and different artists, like modern artists. Oh my goodness, they blew up again. They had a refresher, and I like what they did. I like the combination of the younger generation of artists that sing in Spanish mixed with theirs, and then mixing the orchestra. Man, it sounds so good. I like I forget what was it with. It's with Jimena. I like them and Jimena. It goes hard. Okay, back to the topic. So, did you know that in San Diego, the university, there is a program, a class that you can take about Selena? Yeah, and I looked it up online for 2020. I think they still had a class. So 2021, it seems that it's not going away. So there is. In San Diego State University, the School of Journalism and Media, there's a study and a class that they offer for Selena. Dr. Nathaniel Shea Rodriguez, assistant professor of San Diego State University's School of Journalism, Media and Studies, teaches a class called Selena and Latin X media representation. So if you ever wanted to take a class online and learn more about Selena, and because honestly, like Selena, no matter how many like Jennifer Pena, they were trying to push her to be or something like that, to be and take over or be something like that, right? And there was I believe a couple other young ladies that were trying to, but Selena's gonna be like, it's like a one of a kind, you know. And there's different controversies and things like that. So okay, let me get into that. Okay, I need to stay away from TikTok first of all, because that thing is the devil, just like every other social media. There's a debate on TikTok, and again, this is not no knock of anything. This is just conspiracy and internet talk. This is not my opinion. It's not facts. It's just based on what I've been hearing and things like that. Which is, again, it's just the fact that it's so appealing to people to her life in general and everything else and things like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just their way of mourning, because she's already gone. You know, she's been gone for some time. But you know, especially with, again, anytime something surfaces about her, then all of a sudden everything goes crazy. The makeup, you know, sales, music, all that. Even her killer coming out, it just triggers another set of things. So with her coming out, there's a bunch of conspiracies that Yolanda was not the one that killed her. Yes, there's actually a conspiracy about that it wasn't her, and then, you know, they're blaming the dad. Again, I'm not blaming or saying that was there, just what the internet's saying and things like that. So I had to do my part at looking, like, just rationally and logically look at it, right, and see if there's any relevance to it. Okay, so I think it's all conspiracy, and it's easily proven for the simple fact that, okay, so I watched a couple of interviews of Yolanda that she gave to a couple of reporters, and no way. Her stories don't match. Her stories don't line up. There was actually lawyers that went to look for documents that supposedly she gave her videos and things like that, and nothing's matching. Like, they couldn't find anything. She keeps pointing fingers to somewhere else. She even said that she didn't kill Selena. Like, wait, okay. So logically thinking, right, as a person, if I know for sure 100% I have a desire to be free and desire to live, if I know that I didn't do this, then I'd be fighting for my life. Instead of accepting your day in court, taking the guilty verdict, and then spending so many years in jail. You see what I mean? Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense at all whatsoever. You know? And to even think that her dad might have had something to do with her. Like, okay. Like, come on, that's your own daughter. That's your own daughter. Yeah, granted that he wasn't 100% with the relationship with Chris, but they were already married, and, you know, they were already planning on making a family and everything. So, you know, that the gun, first of all, you proactively went to buy the gun. You had the gun. And supposedly it was to defend from the dad. Like, okay, so you're going to defend yourself from the dad, but then accidentally go off and kill what's supposedly your best friend? Like, come on. It doesn't add up at all whatsoever. So internet, TikTok, I'm sorry, it's just not adding up. Go look at the interviews. The interviews are available on YouTube. You can check it out and hear from your own self. Does it really make sense? You logically, I know you get clouded by everything else, but you as a person, if you know you're innocent, are you really just going to accept have them lock you up for years? What's the point? All to say it was a conspiracy of the dad paying her off or whatever to take her out. What's okay, so she's okay to go to jail for a long time? You see what I mean? It just doesn't add up at all whatsoever. And I looked at the interviews. I checked, and I don't know. There's something not right mentally, for sure. And the lawyer was trying to play that card too. But the story was way off. Even her lawyer, just one of them, after Yolanda sent him into a wild goose chase to Mexico to find this supposedly hidden tapes about some doctor that he didn't find. Then he's like, nah, I quit. So he relinquished he wasn't going to be part of the team anymore for her. He wasn't going to represent her anymore. So yeah, again, internet unfortunately does not up. Yeah, her homie killed her. She killed her and lost a great one. Now the other debates, what would have happened if Selena will still be alive? Well, again, that's just something that we'll never know. She's already gone, unfortunately. Again, it's best to keep her memory alive, because who knows? Her plans was to have a farm with animals and a bunch of kids with Chris, and unfortunately that didn't happen either. And yeah, it didn't happen. So who knows what would have happened? Maybe she would have been the next Jennifer Lopez, you know? Then we would have had Jennifer Lopez. I think Jennifer Lopez's career was boosted by this movie. I think she played a great. I think she did a great job on that movie and as her role. And as I watched some of the interviews, interacting, the way that she acted and things like that, man, it was really good. That's what I'm saying. I just couldn't bring myself. I haven't watched the series. I watched a couple pieces of it. I just don't know if I would want to know anymore. I think I'm good with what, for me, the movie. I see different mixed reviews of different people, but people are always going to have their opinion. So, yeah, that's what I think. So, again, to this day, Selena still is very relevant as far as music. You know, there's still a lot of things that, you know, museums, anytime, again, there's some kind of news, music still relevant. Songs that she made, I went through all her songs. Oh my goodness, she has hit after hit after hit after hit, and she gave you a little bit of everything. She gave you a little bit of dancing music, and then with like tecno cumbia, then she gives you a little bit of like amor prohibido, where you're like relating, and then she gives you to, I think this song is rather this underrated, that no puedo, no más problemas, or something like that. That one was really nice. Talk about positivity and things like that. So yeah, it's very relevant, and like songs that would probably live on forever and a day. And most likely you can't go into a baile, a quinceañera, a wedding, there's Latino or Mexican mostly, without having to hear one of these songs. So yeah, her 1995 album Dreaming of You, which was released after she passed away, debuted in the Billboard Top 200. In 1997, Jennifer Lopez, of course, I mentioned, started, and we have the series now going on. So yeah, and not 2 weeks after her untimely death, then at that time, Governor of Texas, George Bush, declared April 16, Selena's birthday, as Selena Day in Texas. And she was also honored with a statue that you can see. And of course, there's a museum. And the album, Dreaming of You, as I mentioned, after her death, sold over 175 copies. I don't know if it's still accurate as far as the number. It could have been more. But yeah. That is it. And with Tejano in 2021, still making another wave, because Tejano is in waves, right? Sometimes it's hot and sometimes it's not, but it just keeps going. And then you have your loyal Tejano fans. They're always so real quickly, if you don't know what Tejano pretty much is country mixed with some norteñas and a little bit of polka and some cumbia. So it's all like a mixture of things. It depends on what you're listening to. And that's pretty much Tejano. And it's a sound from Texas that was created by Chicanos, people that were supporting the music. And that's what it is. And if you don't feel like that's the case, well, give me a definition. I'll give it to you. I'm pretty sure there is, but I'm just giving you what I know as far as like listening to the music. I'm not like a huge Tejano fan, but I appreciate some songs, especially the ones that are Selena, because I'm telling you, she has song after song after song after song of really good sounding music, and her whole not only her but her whole team put together, an amazing work. And of course, they always had to protect their image. This is not a conspiracy. It was just an observation to me that she was trying to do some business in Mexico, so she was traveling a lot, and she knew a doctor. And there's rumors there was maybe some cosmetic work that was done. I don't know, but she did know a doctor. I'm not trying to start a conspiracy. I'm just saying, why would she know a doctor? And if it was, her parents or dad was real careful of. I don't think they did it on purpose, because every artist has a PR, right? Every artist has a PR, image consultant, and everything, right? They have to maintain a certain image for that artist, They can't veer off of it, because if it does, then all of a sudden it creates problems with the fans and everything else. So you have to be real tight as far as maintaining. So I don't think they were trying to portray it as like this saint and everything. But pretty much every artist does the same to try to keep the best image possible. That's why they have PR and image consultants, to try to keep it like that. But at the same time, I feel that she was genuinely just that person. Like, she was that sweet, nice, innocent person that even her dad said that she was an adult, but she was a child, for the same reasons that she was so sheltered. And if you're sheltered, if you know somebody that's sheltered, meaning that like they don't really get to go and experience everything else, right, that everybody else does. She doesn't get to go to school because she was already, too hot, and she has to be on the road, and she getting too many gigs, so she can't be experiencing. The closest that she got to getting information about the outside world, let's say, is Shelly Lares, which was telling her some of the things that she was telling her of how things work, and that's how pretty much she got her information. But literally, she was like a child for the same thing that she didn't get to experience all these child things that you would do, and that's why she was so playful and happy and things like that. And yeah, of course, it only makes sense that they could help protect her image to the best of their ability. But I just really feel like a little bit naive for the same reason, and then a little bit not knowing about the world like we would know it. And if you experience different things like that wasn't her. She hadn't experienced all this. She started living more, and then of course she hadn't had no relationship with other different people besides the people in the band and her family. So it's kind of real difficult, I would say, to kind of be a judge of character, especially new people coming in like Yolanda. And then I don't know, that lady's I can look at the interview and sense or see that she lies, and she's deceitful, and she's manipulated. And I can see the lady's not very attractive at all. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, she's not. And I'm not saying that ugly people are manipulated, but you can see why she would, given a like her dad said, given a position of power, with all this time, she hasn't been looked in that way at all whatsoever. Now you got this power, then you get a power trip. Maybe not so much a God complex like cops do, but you have something that everybody's been not necessarily stepping on you, but not really like minding you. Like, who are you? Not even looking your direction. To all of a sudden, like, you're next to this person that's gonna become this. It's becoming this amazing thing, and all of a sudden, you're almost like her right hand person, and she trusts you to write checks and things like that. Yeah, of course you're gonna do something to her. And again, unfortunately, she did pass away, but her legacy to this day is continue to live. And please don't get mad if the youngins don't know, because it's just gonna happen, And I think what a lot. I was thinking the other day too. I enjoy bringing attention to Latinos and learning about these Latinos, and even the food and everything like that, just to know more. As I mentioned before, is mostly like a journey for me to learn. But at the same time, I was thinking like, I can't be obsessed with this, right? I can do my due diligence, and what is the Latino? Is the Mexican in me? I can do my part to. I just use another word. I can do my part to do the research that I can, but I'm not gonna be too obsessed with the lives of these people, because at the end of the day, they're just people like you, right? And it's great to highlight the potential as a person that we have inside. That it's beautiful to see them expressing it, and how they were able to do things that they are doing and be famous and this and that. But I was thinking about this, right? Estimated there's 7.9 billion people in the world. Estimated, right? Thousands probably die every day. Selena may be known maybe by, let's say, 1 billion. There's still 6 point something billion that people that don't know her, who she is. And I know that it means the world to us because, or some of the fans, because they know about her. But that doesn't mean the whole entire world knows about them. But it is important to highlight who they are, to hopefully inspire some of the Latinos that never seen somebody like this, to hopefully be inspired to be something, be a singer, be some kind of contributor to this planet, you know. But at the same time, don't get yourself too caught up on some of the celebrities like Selena, even though she did what she did, that you're so focused into her and every other celebrity that you forget that you have that with you and your potential to be that and more if you wanted to. And then don't focus too much on that before you know it, it's too late, that you're older, your life don't pass you by. You were focusing, whether it's a negative or the positive, on this famous people, that your life is already over before you know it, you know? So don't lose yourself on that. Yes, please celebrate the expression of a person, of a human being that we have, that they do get to express. But just remember, even if 1 billion people know that person, there's still a whole lot more people that don't know, you know? So we're just not that important like that. We tend to want to do feel important for yourself and do the things for you, but it's just not that important. I'm just saying. It's really not. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one. And this one is another Latino legend. And another one you're gonna know for sure, because there's a movie about his life. But before we get to that one, we're gonna go ahead and talk about Machismo. Okay. So what do you know about Machismo? What do you know what Machismo? Nothing, right? And it's not okay. So the whole thing with machismo is mostly labeled for Latinos, supposedly because, you know, it's a thing. Well, macho, it comes from the origin of macho. Macho means male. That's all it is. And machismo is a man that tries to suppress women and feels like he's more superior than women and things like that. And he enforces and I guess somewhat degrades women and things like that. And, you know, I'm the man and this is how it goes and things like that. And there's a lot of, well, actually, when I looked it up, there wasn't besides the definition, there wasn't really a lot of content for machismo. I don't know if it's very relevant. I had an experience before. I'm Mexican, as I mentioned before. And I grew up with, they're going to get mad at me because I don't remember the math. It was about 5, 6 girls. I was the only boy. So, you know, I can't say I can relate to women, but I can see how they react, how they act and everything like that. And for whatever reason, I have a good conversation with the women gender, you know. I like women. You know, it's not my thing to and again, nothing do you, but I'm just saying it's just not my thing. I just enjoy women. So it's never been that. But at the same time, I remember one job that I had, the manager, for whatever reason, she was from another, I'm not going to be too specific, but she was from another country. And for whatever reason, she felt like because I was Mexican, and she didn't tell me this, but I can sense it 100%. And that's small little things that she would say, I would know that that's what she was thinking about. And then as soon as I told her, and I don't know why the conversation brought up and this and that, and I told her I was a Mexican, and then she said something about macho, something like what? And I was like, huh? And I'm like, I'm not saying that I'm like the ultimate person that relates to women, but I grew up with a lot of women, so I understand where they come from. Not to mention, and I know I bring it up just about every episode, but it's part of my life. I was in the military, so I seen women in combat on top of the Humvee with a 50 caliber going out, what we call it, outside the wire, to either patrol or escort anybody. So I know the capability of a woman. I know what they can do. And again, I have nothing, no suppression, no nothing. I believe in equality. Everything should be equal. And I can see why they would discourage machismo and things like that, for the same reason that, you know, it's just like anything. If anybody feels like they're trying to put you down and things like that, you're not gonna like it. It's not gonna be a good feeling, and that's the reason why I feel like it's gotten a really bad, like a really bad vibe around the word itself. But I don't know if it's still relevant to this. I didn't see much of it, but at the end of the day, it's just, what can we just be equal? But I guess it's not the thing, right? It's just not going to be the thing to do, you know. But yeah, that's what my take on machismo, which again, there wasn't really a lot of research on it, a lot of things like that people were talking about it, but it wasn't like, I think it's just going away. And hopefully it is. All right, moving on to our next one. So you're really going to enjoy this one. Why? Because I'm going to guarantee you, well, maybe, it depends on what generation you are, you might watch the movie. Richard Steven Valenzuela, a.k.a. Little Richard of San Fernando, or Little Richard of Pacomia, or better known as Ritchie Valens. And where you know him from? La Bamba. You know Ritchie Valens? You never seen La Bamba? Bro, it's a dope movie. It's about that man's life. It's pretty close. Okay, so remember the first scene? Like, so this man had it difficult, right? The first few scenes is like the whole family's living in a field of like, and they're picking picking crops. I think it was oranges. So there were field workers for some time, because I wasn't able to find even the movie or the movie didn't really have that involved. I don't know if it was around or not. And maybe I missed that part. But the dad's name, Jose Esteban Valenzuela. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. He did pass away. He was born in 1896 and died in 1952. And the mom is Concepcion Concha Reyes. And she was born in 1915 and died in 1987. And they were both from Mexico. Did you know that the mom, Carlos, was actually in the movie? The real mom was in the movie in a small little role. Yes, along with one of her uncles, also made an appearance in the movie. Yeah. So Mr. Valenzuela, or aka Valens, was born in May 13, 1941 in Pacomia, California. Mexican American singer, again from La Bamba, successful. And he did die at the age of, guess how old he was, Carlos? 17 years old. And you know how long he was actually in the music industry? Like 2 years. 8 months. 8 months to a year. So 8 months to a year, Richie Valens. So these are the like the Latinos that, even though like Selena, 23, Richie Valens, 18, that made this impact of the songs that are like, even to this day, are just still forever. You can still jam them, and they're very nice, put together songs. You know, they last forever. Not like those songs that we have nowadays. They only last a couple months and it's over. I'm talking down on the music, I'm just saying. Richie Valens was a Mexican American singer, as I mentioned, very influential to Chicano. He is credited to being the first Latino rock star and influenced different artists such as Santana, Los Lobos, and Los Lonely Boys. So, yeah, 17 years old. And if you don't remember, you'll remember this. So Valenzuela died at 17 in the plane crash with fellow musicians Buddy Holly and JP, the Big Bopper DJ Richard, on February 3rd, 1959. And if you ever heard American Pie, this is related to them three. The day the music died. Why do they call it the day the music died? Because these three figures were considered one of the biggest rock and roll stars at that time. That when they died, they felt like it was over. Like, what is gonna happen with music when this people are gone? But it continued, carried on. Mr. Valenzuela was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2001. Ricky Martin, which we're probably going to cover one of these days, Ricky Martin did the introduction on the category of performers. So he is now on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as of 2001. And I mentioned, if you have any evidence of anybody else being the first Latino rock and roll star, please let me know. But as far as I know, Richie Valens is the first Latino rock and roll star that made it big like that. And that is crazy. He started playing at the age of 16 with the actual band called the Silhouettes, and later on he was spotted by Bob Keane, and he headed the Delphi Records, and he helped them put together, even helped them come up with the name, because Richie Valenzuela, at that time, Latinos, that were just not feeling us like that as far as music-wise. So what he did, he kept Richie, and then gave it a little twist. Valens, what it sound like? Kind of like Italian, maybe a little bit like that. So he gave it a different twist so they can keep it going. And keep it, just keep making sure that the radio was able to play without having to discriminate. Because even Selena's dad, whenever they were trying to, Los Dinos were trying to make it, they didn't accept them, just for the simple fact that, okay, so I don't know if this really happened. So I'm gonna go back to Selena for a second and the dad, just this scene, because I think it's very important. Okay, so I don't know if it really happened like that, right? But the scene where the dad says that we have to be more American than the American and more Mexican than the Mexican. We have to know this and we have to know that. Even to this day, it's so relevant because you, like, as a Mexican, like, the government, everybody else sees you like a Hispanic Latino, but your people see you like one of them, but technically not really, because if you don't know the language, they're not gonna see you like that. But at the same time, we do have to know, it's not obligated, but you look kind of funny if you don't learn both things. So whether he said that or not, if it was actually how it happened, he hit it right on the key. But even myself, as not born in the U.S., but getting to the years when I was 11 years old, then I brought with me all the things that I knew about music, then the way that I dressed, and then shortly after, not even within a year, then I started dressing more like they dress here in the U.S., and then before you know it, then the language, and then before you know it, then hip hop. I remember the first, I don't know where it came from, I don't know who introduced me to it, but the very first song that I fell in love as far as hip hop, as far as rap, was Bone Thugs and Harmony, the Crossroads. That was my first, that was it for me. My music taste is way all over the place. But as far as rap and how I like rap and how I got into listening to and things like that, it was Bone Thugs and Harmony, Crossroads, and even the video and the MTV Award performance, I think they were wearing all white, was like, what? What is this? We'll do an episode about Latinos on hip hop later on, but yeah, that was mine. So yes, Mr. Quintanilla, if that would really happen, and if he ever runs into this episode looking for some Selena content, Please let us know if that's how it happened really, if that scene was just like that, because I really thought it was very cool. Richie Valens was influenced by Little Richard. He liked, look at artists like that to get inspiration. And if you never heard the song, the scene whenever Richie Valens dies, there's a song, and it's not by him, but I just think it's really super dope song. It's called Sleepwalk. And it's just an instrumental that was recorded in 1959 by the brothers Santo and Johnny Farina. And it's like a beautiful freaking song to me. I just listen to it sometimes. It's just like, I don't know. There's no lyrics to the song, but it just makes, it just hits you. Maybe because I watched the movie, but if you really want to be moved, like if you, for whatever reason, feel like you just have no emotions whatsoever, listen to that song. Listen to that song, you'll be like, it hits you. Hits you right there. Okay, so remember earlier at the beginning of the episode when I said that this artist might have predicted his death. So when Richie Valens was younger, there was a plane crash that happened. So that day in his middle school, so that day he so happened that he didn't go to school because he attended a funeral. However, kids in the playground during that time, that two plane crash, hurt and actually killed some of his fellow students and friends. And you can remember, if you watch La Bamba from that movie, in that scene in the beginning where he wakes up and the planes are blowing up, that's the reason why. He had a fear of flying for the same reason, and he told himself he wasn't going to fly. However, during the tour that he started doing with Buddy and the other person, then they were having a really difficult time traveling. And, their crew was getting sick and frostbite and things like that. They were having a real hard time moving along. So Richie Valens made the decision to get on the plane, and shortly after he took off, it crashed and landed on a cornfield. So, okay. Steve Jobs talked a lot about dying. A lot. Richie Valens, even though he didn't talk about it, he had a fear of it. Tupac talked a lot about dying. So what I'm getting at, don't talk about it. Not that don't talk about death, but it only makes sense that I don't know if you believe in the law of attraction or not, but if you do or not, or if you know it, if you heard about it, things like that, then some of these things, if you constantly repeating things, then eventually it seems that they will happen to you if that's all you have. If you have in your, and it's mostly here, right? It's mostly in our minds. And you think I'm like going somewhere like out of this world, I'm just talking nonsense. But if you think about it in your life, have you ever thought about anytime you're running late and you say exactly those words, I'm going to be late, then you keep saying this, then you usually are late. You run into every red light. You run into every freaking traffic jam there is, and then you are late. Instead of changing the verbiage, just saying, I'm always on time, I'm always on time, I'm always on time, and then you make it on time, or just realizing that for whatever reason, you needed to be late. So let's say if you did leave on time, there was some kind of accident, and you wrecked your car on things like that. You know what I mean? So that was the time that you would needed to leave. So if you see it that way, then who cares if you were late? So you didn't make it on time. No big deal, do call, whatever. But I feel like if you keep kind of sabotaging your own mind and saying that stuff like that, then it will happen. And I just know, looking from the outside of all these people that I mentioned, that there's something tied to it, because all these people talked about it and things happened to them. I'm just saying. I'm not saying not to talk about it, but when I say acknowledge your mortality, but at the same time, why not, live a great life? Why think about death all the time? Not realize that it's contradicting, right? But yes, realize you are mortal, you are gonna leave, but at the same time, don't panic on it. It's just something that's gonna happen, and focus on trying to live the best possible life that you can in real life, not in social media, not posting just to host and things like that, but really live it. And like I mentioned earlier, not focusing all the way on every negative thing of these people or positive thing of these celebrities, and not realizing that your life's passing you by, and before you know it, it is already done, and there is no takebacks, there is no do-overs. It's done. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and end it with this too. Man, just the history of both of them, just all the things that they went through, you know, from Selena to her dad dealing with bankruptcy, to all the way to, you know, making it and unfortunately losing her life early, to Richie Valens at such a young age, at the age of 17, with only 8 months or to a year in the music industry, to become such an impact and an inspiration to other Latinos that wanted to get into that genre, that they have somebody to look up to. It's just incredible to me that these two massive legends are somebody that you can look up to, listen to their music, get some influence, get some inspiration. But again, don't get too caught up on it that you forget to live your own life. And this is going to wrap it up for today. This is the Global Latin Factor podcast. Remember, we are just like you. We're just the spice in this global melting pot that it is the world. I got a new globe, Carlos. Look, and I got a little. So next time we talk about Latino, I'm going to be like, let me find them real quick. All right, it is. Talking about Mexico today, and it comes with a little magnifying glass just in case. Are you satisfied, Carlos? You happy? As long as Carlos is happy, that's all. That's all we have for today. We see you on the next episode. Make sure you check out all the episodes that we have, also the merchandise that we have. Give us a like, give us a follow if you like this content. If you've never seen this content, if you're hearing it on any of the platforms, we do have it on YouTube. If you want to see the video and check us out. Until next time, mucho amor y paz. See ya.